everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome too. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this corset blouse that I found on Pinterest. I thought it looked really nice, so I'm really excited to go ahead and make this. I would say the project level of this is like advanced beginner, maybe a little bit higher. I don't know, something around there, but not for your basic beginner, just because sleeves are in it and sleeves are kind of hard. But you know, if you feel confident, go for it. But I will be bringing out a series where I show you how to do the basics of sewing, setting in sleeves, gathered sleeves, you know, adding cuffs and stuff like that. So stay tuned. I'm not gonna ramble too much, let's just get into it. So these are all the pattern pieces that I have. I have 2 sleeves, 2 front facings, 2 cuffs, 2 top part of the body pieces, 1 back facing, 1 back body piece, 2 back of the corset body pieces and 2 of the front body corset pieces. So to start off, I'm going to assemble the front of the corset part of the bodice first. So obviously all these pieces are going to get attached right sides facing like that. I've included 1 centimeter seam allowance on my pattern, so I'm going to sew with that, but I'm going to finish off the edges with my overlocker. I finally fixed it, guys. But yeah, I'm going to do the front, then I'm going to do the same to the back, right sides facing. So here's what the corset pieces of my top look like, and I've sewn them all together and used my overlocker to clean up the insides. So the front pieces are in 2 separate pieces, but the back piece you connect it at the centre back so that it's one long piece. Once we've finished sewing the corset body pieces of the top, these are the pieces that we're going to want to overlock. I've just highlighted them in blue. Now you just want to take the back body and the front body, place them right sides together and do a straight stitch at the shoulders. So we're just going to do the same thing again with the facing. So I've got the front and the back facing, right sides facing, and we're going to sew a straight stitch on the shoulder point. Now we need to gather our body pieces, so I'm going to gather all along the bottom edge of the back piece and all along the bottom edge of the front. To do this, you just need to set your machine to the longest stitch length and sew all along that, but don't back stitch because we need to pull on these threads to create the gathers. So now we need to take the back gathered piece and put it right sides facing on top of the back corset style piece and just do a straight stitch along there, and you want to repeat the same to the front using a straight stitch. Then once you've done that, we're going to trim this seam slightly and you're going to want to overlock this seam. So this is what your top should be looking like now. Now we need to move on to the sleeves, so I've just marked basically where we're going to gather it just so that we can ease it into the armhole, and then we're going to pin the sleeves right sides facing on the body, pin all around that and sew a straight stitch. And you want your gathers to be nice and even, so once you finish pinning it, I would recommend just flipping it the right sides out so that you can see how the gather will drop on your shoulder. Basically, you want the majority of the gathers to be on the shoulder point. And then again, you just want to overlock this seam. So this is what your top should be looking like at this point. Now we need to remove those gathering stitches that we did earlier. So if you kind of stretch the seam, you can kind of see them. Carefully just use an unpicker to pick them out. So now we need to attach the facing to the bodice, and to do this you just want to match up the shoulder and the shoulder point of the facing and then just pin around the neckline, and then stop pinning when you get to where the closure of the top will be. Now this is the tricky bit. We need to trap the elastic between the body and the facing, so I didn't pin where the buttonhole markings were because I'm just going to put my garment underneath the sewing machine and trap the elastics that way. So I cut 5 pieces of elastic that were 2 to 2.5 centimeters long, then I folded it in half, placed it on top of the buttonhole markings and sewed a straight stitch on top of that. And you want to make sure that you go back and forth on this stitch because we do not want it to come out. So now the facing's being attached to the body, we need to release some of the tension around the neck so that the facing lies flat, and then you want to fold the facing over, push the seam allowance to the facing side and do a nice neat top stitch. So now we need to make sure our facing doesn't move from the body, so you want to take your shoulder seam and the facing shoulder seam and pin them so that they're exactly lining up, and then you want to stitch in the ditch, so stitch right inside the seam, and basically this means you won't be able to see the stitch on the outside or the inside of the garment. So now we need to close the sides of the top, and to do this you fold the top over so that it's right sides facing, match up your seams and do a straight stitch, then overlock this seam. We also need to gather the bottom of the sleeve. You can do this after you've sewn the sides, or you can do it before, but you just want to make sure that you don't sew over the gathering stitches because we still need to pull on them. So now we need to gather the bottom of our sleeve and attach it to the cuff. Now in order to sew the cuff, we need to fold our fabric so that it's right sides facing in the direction of stretch and do a straight stitch along this seam here. And then we need to fold it back out and make sure that the two seams are joining. And then we're going to place this right sides facing on top of our gathered sleeve and sew that circle stitch. And then you want to overlock this seam as well. Here I'm just adding my label to the back neck facing. So now we need to unfold the facing and overlock the bottom edge of the top. Then you want to fold the facing so that it's right back on top of the garment, right sides facing, and do a straight stitch just to the end of the facing. Then you're going to clip the seam so that we have a sharp edge when we turn it back out, and fold the garment up by your seam allowance, which mine was 1 centimeter, and then hem it using a straight stitch. So now I'm just making the finishing touches for my garment. So I'm going to make self-covered buttons. So I just cut out a little circle of my fabric and use this tool to clasp it all together. It's really cool, I'll link it down below. But I guess now it's time for the final reveal. Okay, so I want to do a brief summary on my thoughts on this top, and I do like the top and the design of it, but my only thing that I don't like is this. Can you see that, guys? It's really bugging me, but it's because I didn't test my pattern out beforehand. So if you are going to make this and you know how to make the pattern and everything, just make sure you add enough room around the bust area so that it doesn't pull. So if I make this again, I'm just going to keep that in mind. But for the most part, I'm really happy with how it turned out. If only the top turned out like this. But there was something else that I wanted to add in, and it's that I wish the gathered area would be a bit lower down, just that it sits on the breast area a little bit better. That's something that I'll just have to adjust in the pattern again. But before you go, I do have an announcement. I did say in my last video that I'm going to be launching my corset soon, and the official date is now the 23rd of March, the day when lockdown hit us all. So it's like I want to erase that.
A few moments later.
I want to erase that.
Eventually.
So it's like I want to erase the stigma over that date, basically, because when we went into lockdown, honestly, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good thing for a lot of people. So let's bring some light to the date. But basically my website is going to be launching on the 23rd of March along with the leather corset. So if you head over to my website on the 23rd, you can order a corset. And also I'm doing a giveaway, my first giveaway, to celebrate all of this. So on my Instagram you'll see a post soon of the leather corset. So a lucky person will win a bespoke custom made leather corset to their measurements and everything. So you'll see a post on my Instagram soon, and to enter the giveaway all you have to do is like the post, follow me, share the post to your story, tag me and 2 friends, and if you want a bonus entry, if you share the post to your feed, tag me and 2 more friends, then you got another entry. But yeah, that's it to the giveaway. So I'm really excited to be launching this, but I need to also clarify it is only for the UK. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.